Hi, my name's Joanna. I'm a senior here at Bridgewater. And I guess my spiritual journey starts the moment I walked through the doors of the Christian Fellowship House to go to a student-led Bible study. Little did I know that it was started the same year as my freshman year. And I went to the first Bible study. It was really cool. It was started by my best friend. And God had just put her campus on her heart and just wanting to start a Bible study of some sort to kind of reach out and gather Christians together. And it was a really exciting time, a time where we got to meet so many new people, so many new Christians who love Jesus. And it was really exciting for me to be able to participate in a Bible study. I grew up in a very conservative circle, and this was so new to me, thinking of and talking about Jesus and praying together. And the big thing for me that struck me was the Bible studies. As me and a couple other people began to study the Bible and to pray, there were so many questions that popped up into our mind. If we really loved our campus and if we really loved Jesus, we should connect those two communities. And that was such a big thing for me. Not being familiar with actually sharing the gospel or doing anything in that way. But as we started praying and really asking God to help us, we began to get answers, and one of them came in the form of Greg Johnson, who is the Southeastern Mass Regional Director for Intervarsity Christian Fellowship. And he began to share with us this vision of looking at our campus in a new way, of wanting to see students come to know Jesus and wanting to create missional communities that would actually go out and share Jesus. And this was completely new to us, but we knew that this was an answer from God to the prayers that we had been praying for a while. And it was so exciting to be able to learn so much from the missional leader cohorts and from the retreats that we went on with Intervarsity. And this was something that I knew was going to grow. And as we grew in our faith and in our love for the campus and in our love for Jesus, I really wanted to kind of lead the campus, the Christian fellowship in a new way, and to get us on campus, to get us ministering to people. And I definitely thought I was the weakest person to do it. Me and my best friend both came from very, conservative circles where we weren't supposed to do much. And it was a new thing for us to want to start something and not really know how. So we still tried, and we brought the Bible study, instead of inside the Christian Fellowship House, which was kind of off campus, we brought it to the campus center. We started the Bible study in the RCC, and as we began to join with more people and more members and meet new people, we knew that we needed help in training them with the Bible and teaching them how to share the gospel. And I knew that we needed more than just that I could offer or my best friend could offer. We needed something bigger. And it was really exciting to see Aaron come on staff with Intervarsity a year after we affiliated. This was such a big thing for me because I had had so many moments of worry where I didn't know what would happen with the fellowship after I left. And it was so beautiful to see that God provided and answered all of my prayers about Bridgewater, creating witnessing communities and finding other Christians and seeing people actually come to faith, and also getting an Intervarsity staff member on our campus. It was such a big thing for me and such an answer to prayer. And I'm so encouraged and I'm so full of hope for the future. In my last year here, I haven't been as much of a leader because of student teaching and of other things, but it's been so wonderful to see that God's worked and God has brought new life to a campus that once was dead.
So the vision for Intervarsity at Bridgewater can really be traced back to, of course, all that Joanna and the students have been doing as part of the Bible study. But Joanna and a student named Craig and I met at Summit up at Toanippi, our retreat center, in the summer before I came on campus, and we prayed together. And we prayed for the campus, and we prayed for what might God have for us as we plant Intervarsity at Bridgewater. And we developed some language that we really felt from God of this is going to be a movement that empowers students to reach the campus. It won't be centered on a staff, though a staff will be needed to help train and empower, but it really will be about sending students out to the campus. And so when I got on campus in about October, we started to meet, and we would gather people to talk about the vision for the campus, to ask the questions, what is God doing at Bridgewater? How can we be a part of that? And where is God calling us to go on this campus? And so we met for many weeks, and I was out on campus wandering around, meeting students, and that's how I found a lot of the people that you'll see just in the snapshot of Bridgewater State today. And we started to develop the language of who we were, that we were not just a Christian club on campus, but that God was calling us to something greater. That instead, we were being called to be a movement of students, being transformed by Jesus, and bringing Jesus to every campus culture and space, to create these little communities all over Bridgewater where people could feel free to bring their questions, to bring the things that they're wrestling with, and to grow in their faith, whether they profess to be a Christian or they're just trying to figure it out. And so with that, we set off into the campus and praying and seeing where is God already on the move and where can we help establish new communities. So Shea Durgan is one of the largest dorms on campus. It houses around 800 freshmen at Bridgewater, which is an amazing amount of potential considering how intensive a commuter campus this is. So you have 800 freshmen under one roof. It sounds like a perfect planting opportunity, but the problem was we didn't know any students and we didn't know how to get into the dorm. So we spent a long time praying for Shea, and actually I had heard stories of people long before my time coming and praying over this dorm and getting an overwhelming sense of darkness, of depression, and even suicide. And just sensing that God needed to break through some serious barriers in Shea. So when I was on campus and I met Allie in the fall, and she lived in Shea, I got really excited, and I pitched the vision to her to start something in Shea Durgan. And she'll tell you more of that story later, of how maybe she wasn't ready at that point. But the cool thing is that after waiting and pressing in and continuing to pray, I took students here to pray on prayer walks. Like, we came back and we kept praying for this dorm. We finally got in, and we started some momentum and a small group where now we have found even more people to be involved with our movement on campus, and students have had a space to wrestle with God in Shea Durgan. So we've been breaking down some of those chains, following God into this dorm, and we've seen God do amazing things with that this year.
Hi, I'm Allie.
And I'm Vicki.
We're roommates at Shea Durgan on the Bridgewater campus.
We're freshmen, rising sophomores.
Yep. So a little background about me. I was raised Catholic. I was confirmed Catholic. I taught CCD to future confirmation students. And I always had this background, but I never really knew anything about my actual faith, like what it meant to have a really strong relationship with Jesus. And I recently came to faith, like really strong faith, because I was struggling with the concept of me being a cancer survivor. Like, why me? Why did God choose me to have this happen? But when I started building my relationship with Jesus, I was able to grasp the situation I was in. I rose to the challenge, and then I made it into something positive. And I met Erin, the head of the Intervarsity staff here on campus, in September. I was a little, how do you say this? Like,
weirded out.
A little weirded out at first, yeah. I was like, I'm not ready for this quite yet. It's not at my pace, I'm just like coming to terms with my relationship with Jesus. I'm not sure if I want to go out there and spread the love, So, but eventually, like in December, Erin came up to me and Vicki, because I saw her on campus, because she's always there with a bright smile and everything. And she was like, hey guys, let's do stuff, let's start something next semester. And I'm like, okay, sure. And so then we got in touch back in January, and that's when Erin had the bright idea of a pancake night here on a Thirsty Thursday. It's a big thing here on Shea Durgan. And so we were like, let's feed some Thirsty Thursday party people with some free pancakes, and we're going to get a a Bible study in there at the end, and
But we did not advertise that Bible study while we were talking about it to people. We pretty much just said, hey, come on, there are fruit pancakes and drinks and games and stuff.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay.
it didn't go too well the first time. We didn't have many takers. Like, everyone stayed for the games and the free pancakes, but then we were kind of just like, so we're gonna have a Bible study, and everyone kind of booked it out of there.
We sprung it on them at about 11:30. Everyone left about 11:31.
Yeah, and so that was a kind of like a setback, but we still had a small group. It was me, Vicky, Jeremiah, I forget her name. I don't remember her name, but we had a nice little Bible study, and she has a story for you about her background.
Well, a little bit about my background. I'll pick up where Allie left off in a minute. But a little bit about my background. I was technically raised Catholic, but I don't go to church much. I took communion, but I wasn't confirmed, and I didn't know much about my faith at all. And when Erin came up to me and asked if I would like to dig into it, I was all for it because I enjoy reading literature, and I thought of the Bible as like, even though it's the truth, obviously, I thought it was like a story to read and pick apart and actually learn about myself through it. So I thought it was an excellent opportunity. So I helped out with the pancake night. We had small groups after that, like in our room in Shea Durgan. And it was just us and a couple friends, and like it never really grew to be much. We would ask people, but not everyone is ready to join.
Yeah, people were like, ooh,
yeah,
no, it's okay.
So like it stayed very stagnant with just our small group of friends. And we decided to do a second pancake night in like March?
Yeah, it was like right after spring break.
Yeah, and it was going to be on Thirsty Thursday again. And this time we decided to actually advertise it a little more. This is the flyer that we handed out. We handed out about 56 in a matter of...
Out of 60.
56 out of 60 flyers in a matter of about 15 minutes. All face-to-face. We said hi to everyone. We talked to them about what it was. We actually said we're having a spiritual conversation this time, which is a big deal, because we were just like, oh, maybe we should just talk about the pancakes again, but then no one would stay.
Right.
So we actually advertised it fully so that people knew what they were getting into when they came.
Yeah.
And the second pancake night that we had
went really well.
It went really well. The pancakes were awful, but the rest of it was really good.
No, because
Kara helped.
Yeah, our friend saved us. There's a wall of smoke over there by the
door, and it was pretty bad.
But then our friend saved us.
And Allie actually has a really interesting story about someone that she met at pancake night.
So there are a group of girls that were sitting at the table who weren't actually here for pancakes. They were making their own thing over here at the stove or the oven. And they were just sitting down, and Erin was already talking to them, and I heard my name come up, so I was like, I'm going to go join in on this conversation. So I did, and I sat down. One girl in particular was very interested in the whole concept of what we do on campus and Intervarsity as a whole. And then I ended up sharing my story, like that I said earlier, and she and I really connected, and I've been talking to her off and on now, but she's curious. She's spiritually curious now, but she hasn't been able to come to any of our small groups, but you can tell that God's really working with her, and he's trying to reach out to her after that whole little conversation.
And the spiritual conversation at the end of the night actually went better than any of us had ever expected. Almost everyone stayed, so there was a good amount of people that were here.
There was at least 10 people here.
In the beginning, people left because it went really late. We were talking until 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
So people left to go back to their dorms after a while, but it went really, really well.
We had 2 people from the other camp, the other freshman dorm here, and they stayed. They were just visiting their friends who live here. They came too, but then they all left, but the 2 guys stayed here, and it was oh, awesome.
Yeah.
But the way the spiritual conversation worked, right, we didn't start with how God is working in your life. We started with a flyer, and it had life, how you see your life on campus, and where you see yourself in these 4 corners. I believe it was purpose, fun, love, and success.
And it was what you thought you were looking for here.
That too, yeah. And so we started where do you think you see yourself? Where do you see other people on campus in these 4 corners? And what do you think people are looking for? What are their deeper thirsts? That's the whole concept. Was we eventually worked our way up to how God could quench your deeper thirsts. So are you thirsting for a loving relationship? Are you thirsting for fun, a purpose in life. Like, you don't know where you're going with your life yet. And it was just awesome because we had some non-believers, we had some believers like me and Vicky, and it just, you could see how God was working in the group. It was amazing to be a part of. In fact, right after everyone left, we were doing this conversation from like 11:30, I think it was, until like 1:30, right?
Yeah.
And then after everybody left, Erin, me and Vicky are like, woo!
Yeah,
Up and
like
down.
doing
Oh yeah, like this. But yeah, how to do that for you guys.
But so after that, we continued doing the small groups. Me and Allie worked with Erin individually to start developing our leadership skills in leading small groups, and we actually just did our own small group for the first time
That was awesome.
yesterday, and that was pretty awesome. And actually, last week, I pledged, or whatever you want to call it, like myself to God.
You defined your relationship.
Yeah, I defined
with
my
Jesus.
relationship with Jesus. So like this year has been pretty awesome for me spiritually. I've kind of become more of like a rounded religious person, I guess. And like me and Allie, you can tell we've both grown so much, like closer together, and like more open with everyone else, more confident in everything that we do, and more compassionate to others. And like
Definitely.
I think that our mission for next year is to kind of spread the word a little.
Oh, definitely. Not a little, a lot.
And
we're
like,
going crazy.
so that everyone can feel as good as we feel about this, because we really think that strengthening your faith with Jesus can help you in all aspects of your life.
Yes, definitely. So we're living in DiNardo next year, and so we're planning on starting a small group Bible study there, and we're going to be leading it. Hopefully Erin will help us out if we need it, but because we're newbies at this. But it's been an awesome ride so far, and I absolutely enjoyed every aspect of being a part of Intervarsity, and because it's just helped me grow as a person and an individual, and I love it. Like, it's fantastic. So.
This year we brought 10 students on our alternative spring break trip to Tampa, Florida, Serve Up. And the design of the trip is to bring a spiritually diverse group of people with the hopes that they'll be able to investigate their faith while they're on the trip. And I met Hannah and Amy probably 3 weeks before the trip, and they were super bubbly and really excited, and I really appreciated their openness. And what struck me about their story is that they were really open to change coming on this trip, and both of them encountered Jesus in a powerful way. So you're about to hear their story now.
Hi, I'm Hannah, and I'm a junior here at BSU, and I'm a member of the Gamma Phi Beta sorority.
Hi, I'm Amy, and I'm also a junior here at BSU.
We were both raised Catholics, but basically until this Tampa trip, we didn't really understand what it meant and how you would really be a following Christian.
Earlier in the spring semester, we saw in the student announcements that there was a service trip to Tampa over spring break, so we decided just to apply for it. We thought, Tampa, exciting, like fun stuff. So we applied, and like the next day got in, and then went from there.
Yeah, we were really excited, but very nervous about the whole religious aspect. We didn't meet Erin until the first meeting a few weeks before we left for Tampa, so once we met her, we were kind of getting a little more excited and less nervous. It only took me a few days to really understand my purpose and why I was even in Tampa, and it was all because I was really getting closer to God, and I knew I wanted to somehow have a better understanding of my religion, but it just took this Tampa trip for me to really realize it, and Erin saw that I was really eager to pursue this religious feelings that I've been having. So on Monday night is when we had our talk, and I initially said yes to following Jesus. And I think the atmosphere of Tampa really helped me understand my religion, even though I've been a Catholic for 20 or so years. The people were just really friendly and easy to get to know and understanding, and we had a few talks that really opened my eyes to what it really means to be a Christian. So I think that was basically my journey to say yes to God.
And then the next day, I came to realize that I wanted to follow Jesus because of the speakers and how moving they were in their stories, and I just saw their relationship with God and wanted to have that same relationship, and cried and was hysterical and realized that really meant that I needed to talk to Erin and come to terms with the fact that I wanted to follow God and be a part of His life. Well, Him be a part of my life. So.
I think going through this process with Amy as one of my really close friends, it was just such a great experience to share, and I think ever since Tampa we've had such a great bond as friends. And after Tampa we started a Bible study in our apartment that we've been doing for the past few months now, and it's just been really teaching us how to actually live out Christianity as a college student, and I think we've both learned a lot from Erin so far, and it's been a really great experience.
Actually, in Tampa, to go back, the night that I came to follow Jesus, we had a conversation and prayed for one of our friends who we thought was just going down the wrong path and needed some help. And the next night, we saw something that she had posted saying that she has found her religion again and had a great experience on another service trip that brought her to realize that she needs to follow God also. So that was really reassuring to us that God was really with us and really listening to us. So that's cool.
So in the fall we are starting a Greek chapter of IB here at BSU, and we're both really excited because we want so many more people on this campus to experience what we had and felt and experienced in Tampa. Like, it was just such a eye-opening and life-changing revelation, I guess is what Amy uses to describe it.
And we have gained such an amazing friendship and a deeper connection with each other, so we want to bring that to other people and let other people realize that there's more in common with someone than you think, and that there are other people that you can talk to about this, and you're not alone in your journey.
So the story of Woodward was one big experiment, with the refrain being, can we go further, God? We looked at the last 6 weeks of the semester, which are usually a wash. Students are done with classes, professors are doing review sessions and starting to wind down. And we asked God, can we go further? Is there more that you want to do on campus? And we were praying for Woodward actually for like 6 months because we knew 3 Christian students in the dorm who were super connected and had a lot of influence. And we wanted to start something there. And I remember I'd meet with Chris or Jeffrey and be like, let's start something. And they'd be like, yeah. And then nothing would start. So we prayed a lot. And I had a visit from my coach. And while she was here, we were praying in Chile, the dining hall that just looks out at Woodward. And together, as we prayed, we sensed that God wanted us to move in Woodward. And we wrote it all down on a napkin from Chile. And as we prayed, we got an image of chains over the dorm. Chains keeping the Christian students there from sharing their faith with their friends. And chains on those who didn't yet know Jesus, keeping them from receiving this word. And then my coach was like, you know, it's the last 6 weeks of the semester. Why don't you go ahead of your students into the dorm and start something new and develop them on the way? Because I'd been waiting for a little while. And I was like, all right, God, we're going to push past what feels like a lot of barriers, and we're going to go into this dorm and start something new. And that was the Woodward experiment. So what we ended up doing is we decided for a week and a half we'd call it the Woodward Blitz, and we were going to invite 100 students, face-to-face conversational invitations, to invite them to a 4-week series that we were calling the Thirsty Thursday Small Group, which would take place on Thursday nights, and we'd talk about our deeper thirst for love, for fun, for success and purpose. Where do they come from? And what does God have to do with it? So we went around campus for a week and a half, me and Chris and Jeffrey and Hannah, asking the question, does God go to college? Do you want to join us with this Thirsty Thursday group? And we started to meet more and more and more students, and some gave us rejection, said, nah, not interested, and some were like, yes, I am totally interested in that. And we started on a Thursday night with 4 weeks remaining in the semester. And the story began of what God was going to do in Woodward. So as we prayed in Tilly, this dining hall for Woodward, we started to get an image of chains in our minds. Chains that were over the dorm, chains binding the Christian students from sharing their faith, and chains on those who did not yet believe in Jesus from hearing that word. But then as we prayed, this image, it was like God was burning up these chains, super red hot, and that they just burst like sawdust. And we were like, okay, God, what do we do with that? And we interpreted from that that there were going to be barriers that needed to be surpassed and pushed through because the good stuff was really on the other side, that God was ready to break down chains in Woodward.
Hi, my name is Jeffrey. I'm a student here at Bridgewater State University. I'm a freshman, and I live in Woodward. This year I've been involved in a Bible study here on campus, which got me involved with Intervarsity. And it's been about a few months now, and we recently started a faith discussion, like a seeking in Woodward, with the students in Woodward. And our mission was to invite 100 students here at Woodward and have at least 10 come. We got 12, like consistently throughout the weeks, so we accomplished the goal there. And mainly we were discussing about God, some scriptures, and how He relates to people in their lives here at college. And we felt like it was a really huge success. A lot of people were into it. Like a lot of people were just felt like this was something missing in their lives, and it was really positive to see people accept it and want to hear us out. It made me feel better with my own faith with God, and encourages me to, when I go back to my own church, to start something there with some of the younger students and the kids there at my church who need to maybe a refill in their Christian lives. And I like to also say that this has also encouraged me and some other students here at Woodward. We're going to move to Wagon, and we're going to start something there as well. Have some similar program here at Woodward at Wagon. And a lot of students who are involved in this Woodward project here is going to be in Wagon. And so we're looking forward. We're praying that there's going to be a movement on campus. We're already starting, and it's going to get bigger, and we're pushing forward, and God's going to help us. So we're looking forward to next year.
Hi, I'm Dave. I have attended the Woodward sessions that Intervarsity's been running for the last 4 weeks. And I was actually one of the 100 people that they invited. And it was an answer to prayer for me, because I had been in a really tough spot for the first semester. I was just sort of in a real low point, and Erin came up and told me about it. And so it was sort of just one of those opportunities that God sort of lays in your lap. And so I got to go to these sessions, and it was cool because it was a casual thing. I got to see a bunch of my friends come, and we just talked about some of the things that some of the deeper thirsts that we had. And it was really awesome because I could see a bunch of my friends start to question what they believed and start to wonder what the truth was. And currently I know we have a bunch of people in our dorm that I'm friends with personally that they're really on the fence, and they're starting to look for answers. And so it's really been an opportunity for not just me, but for everyone. And I've just been really thankful for it because it's given me purpose, and I've wanted to go out and I've wanted to share the good news with my friends and to lead them to Christ as well. And it's just inspired me to start something new at Miles next year. I'm going to be an RA, and I'm looking at working with a couple of my friends that are over there, and maybe some of my friends in DiNardo as well.
Hey, my name is Chris, and I'm a student athlete here at Bridgewater State. I live in the Woodward dorm, and I was part of the temple trip where God moved in ways that I wasn't really expecting. The same kids that were skeptical about Christ, now they're serving Christ, which was a blessing to me, and something that raised my faith in a way. And I'm part of the Christian fellowship here on campus, and how God's just moving in Woodward, and how we just invited over 100 people. Just look for the hunger and desperation that God saw in this place, and we want to pursue it, so God can move, just activate this hunger to fill it up. And God worked and God moved, and we plan to take this to to fall semester in our dorm that we're going to live in.
So for Woodward, we prayed that God would break the chains from that vision that we had way at the beginning. And 4 weeks later, I think it's safe to say that God definitely broke down chains. During our 4 weeks in Woodward, we met 3 new Christians who want to partner with what we're doing on campus. And Dave, who you guys saw, was one of them. We never would have met him had we not gone and pushed past those barriers and decided to start something new in Woodward. And there were about 5 students who were spiritually seeking that we engaged with on a consistent basis. So we had these meetings, and 8 to 10 to 12 would show up, and that was the number we prayed for. And then there were about 5 who came consistently throughout. And one of these students had grown up with almost no faith background. He said that his dad handed him a Bible one time when he was a kid and said, "You should read this." And when he found us, he had so many questions about Jesus. And through what we did in Woodward, he was actually able to pray for the first time. And he asked God to make himself clearer to him. And he received a second Bible for him to read, this time with notes in it, so it would make sense. So we've just seen an amazing journey, and I could share many more stories of what God did in Woodward, but for all of us, it's just an encouragement that, yeah, this movement is going to spread through trusted relationships, and it's going to spread by pressing through the barrier, refusing to believe just the front that people put up, and knowing that God is actually moving ahead of us in the hearts of students at Bridgewater. So, the story of planting Intervarsity at Bridgewater, year 1, we have seen God do amazing things. It's been a story of prayer, of vision, of daring to see the spiritual realities that are actually there behind what seem like barriers or disinterest. It's a story of pressing in, and a story certainly of God showing his strength in our weakness. We started the semester with a few people in a room in the RCC praying for what God would do on our campus, and we met more and more students. We took 10 of them on Serve Up. 3 of them decided to follow Jesus, and more were added to that number of new Christians throughout the year. And that created a momentum and a sense of community that just kind of spilled out to what we were doing on campus. And we started to see students being empowered and say, yeah, actually, I want to see my relationships as God-given and not random. And I want to be on mission with Jesus on this campus. So we've seen Bible studies in the Bears Den. We've seen small group and pancake nights in Shea. We've seen the Thirsty Thursday series in Woodward. And now even behind me, that's Wakened. And it's being built, a new dorm on campus. And in the fall, we have 2 students who are going to plant the first thing that has ever existed in that dorm in the history of Bridgewater that's creating a space to honor God and to explore Jesus. So we're so excited for what will happen in the fall, and the vision that we started to pray about and that God gave to us, that we would be students transformed by Jesus and bringing Jesus to every campus culture and space. Like, I can say that that's happening as I stand here at the end of our first year planting. So we just want to praise God for that. We want to remember this moment, and we want to carry that in with us to the fall, to see Bridgewater become a place that is changed because there were a group of students that cared, loved, and served it like Jesus would.